Shabbat Shalom. This week's Parsha, another doubleheader. It is packed with mitzvot. In fact, with 51 mitzvos, it's good for fifth place on the chart of mitzvos per Parsha. In fact, there are so many mitzvos in our Parsha that are so apropos, that are so relevant for our current reality during the COVID-19 pandemic. Lo tisnat achicha b'lvavecha, we shouldn't hate our fellow. Lo tikom lo titor, we shouldn't take vengeance or bear a grudge. Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, that we should love our neighbor as ourselves. And we find many of these mitzvos that talk about the importance of camaraderie, of brotherhood, of loving the other. But there's one in particular I want to focus on for just a moment with you. The Torah tells us, Lo ta'amod al dam re'acha, that we shouldn't stand by our fellow's blood. And the commentators struggle to understand the meaning of standing by your fellow's blood. And so Rashi explains that if a person sees their friend about to die and they can save them, for instance, if he's drowning, maybe he's being attacked by an animal or bandits, a person has an obligation to do so. In fact, the Rambam, Maimonides, the Shulchan Aruch, they both codify this as law, and that when someone is hurt or struggling, we actually have a biblical obligation to help and to do something. You know, every time I read this pasuk, I'm reminded of the Good Samaritan law, and in particular, I'm reminded of the last episode of Seinfeld, which I'm sure you can quickly search for by just clicking right above here on YouTube. But in all seriousness, this mitzvah, in a sense, it binds us, it holds us each accountable for the other. And the Torah tells us that it's forbidden to walk down the street. It's forbidden, for that matter, to take a step into this world without being vigilant, without being ready to help all those around us. In fact, in June 1998, the Lo Ta'amod al Dam Re'acha law was actually passed in law by the Knesset in Israel, which made a person obligated to offer assistance whenever able to do so, as long as they weren't endangering their lives or the lives of his fellow. How amazing, how beautiful it is that our country not only has such a law, but that the reference is from this week's Torah portion. It's just amazing. We are just obligated to look after each other. And the Baal Shem Tov, he was quoted actually of taking this idea a step further. You see, the Baal Shem Tov taught that everything that a person sees is actually orchestrated by God as a specific message to him. Every moment, every person, every action around us, it's all put there by God to convey some hidden truth for each of us to grow. And so says the Rebbe that this is the true significance of Rashi's comment. The very fact that God puts you in a position to see somebody else whose life is in danger, that proves that you are able to help them. The fact that God allowed you to witness this event, it must be for some practical reason. Namely, that you, of all people, have the ability to help this person and to make a difference. And I've been thinking about this a lot. In particular, this last week, which, as you know, we celebrate Yom Ha'atzmaut, the celebration of 72 years of unbelievable accomplishments, overcoming incredible obstacles and odds with the birth of our Jewish state, the state of Israel. And democracies around the world, including here in the United States, which have taken centuries to achieve the type of political, social, and economic advances that define Israel's existence today. In 72 short years, we have built up a state from humble beginnings made up of Jews who had survived the atrocities in Europe and the Holocaust, and we've grown it into a robust economy, into a democracy made up of millions of Jews from all over the world. And as we celebrate our beautiful state, we are reminded, like the Baal Shem Tov says, that God has put the state of Israel in front of us in our lifetime, not to stand idly by, but rather to do, to save, to take action. We are witness to things that our parents, our grandparents, our great-grandparents never dreamed to see. And so God, by putting it in front of us, by making it a part of our lifetime, God wants us to do. He wants us not to stand idly by over the blood of the troubles of our fellow. Not only can we help, but we must. You see, so long as we continue to support, so long as we can continue to take action to work towards achieving our country's potential, then Israel will continue to be a strong and a vital part of our lives and the lives of our children and our grandchildren for many years to come. And the truth is that this very same idea, I think, it can be applied to all of us today living through this pandemic. It has been unreal. It has been beyond movies. More than 200,000 deaths worldwide. And many of us have been asking this question of why this is happening to the world, to us. Why now? And if ever there was a time that the Baal Shem Tov's words were relevant, it's for us right now, today, in this moment. Because, friends, I don't think it's a coincidence that we're all witness, that we're all living through these times. God has put them in front of us as messages that if there are ways for us to help, then we must. If there are actions for us to do, then we must act. And this week's Torah portion emphasizes to us that it's not just a chesed. It's not just a nice thing to do. It is. But it's not just a nice thing to do to help somebody in need. But today, if you are in a position to help, then you have a biblical commandment to do so. And we have to be honest with ourselves. Are there people that we could be helping that we're not? Is there more that we might be able to be doing? And if I'm being honest with you, each day, what gives me the strength after watching the news, after reading the articles, is seeing exactly this within our own community. People bending over backwards to help their friends, to pick up groceries, to call members of our shul, to make sure that those who are in need are feeling supported. It's remarkable what's happening. And so my bracha, my prayer is that may God give all of us the strength to continue our work and our chesed, but also the strength to find, to see, and to seize the opportunities that are right in front of us. And so Orit and Shaya and Nava and Noam, they join me in wishing you and your family just the most restful and wonderful and great Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.